They told me, "We'll handle it," while moving my place card near the kitchen doors. I'd already fronted every vendor's deposit. When the planner tried to stiff the staff, I smiled, opened my folder, and handled the bill, my way tonight. Before watching the video, please tell us in the comments from where you are watching this video. The ballroom smelled like polished wood and money that didn't belong to the people spending it. The chandelier lights bounced off crystal glasses, while the planner's headset buzzed with half commands. I stood by the check-in table, scanning for my name. There it was, Ethan McAllister, placed neatly at the farthest table, near the catering doors. Funny how seating charts tell you where you stand in people's lives. The bride, Chelsea, was glowing in the way people glow when they know cameras are on. She had that influencer smile, all teeth, no warmth. Ryan, my cousin, looked nervous. His tie was crooked. I'd tied that same knot for him at his high school prom 10 years ago. I paid for this wedding because he couldn't afford to. He said it would mean a lot if I helped just this once. I'd heard that line before, from family, from friends, from people who swore they'd pay me back. "Mr. McAllister," the planner chirped, stepping in front of me. Her badge read, "Bree Dalton, Certified Luxury Events. You're at table 9. I smiled. "Near the door?" "It's just logistics," she said, like that word excused everything. "Right," I said. "I know a thing or two about logistics." She blinked, didn't get it, and moved on to greet someone in sequins. At table 9, I found my seat between 2 empty chairs, one reserved for a cousin who didn't show, another for a DJ's assistant. The tablecloth still had a fold line in it. It was the kind of spot you give someone when you want to say thank you without meaning it. Dinner started late. The staff moved fast. Too fast. They were short-staffed. I caught one of the waiters nearly tripping over a misplaced power cable. He steadied himself, nodded, and went back to work. I'd been in their shoes before. I respected efficiency more than elegance. When Chelsea made her rounds for thank yous, she stopped 2 tables short of mine. She hugged her friends, kissed cheeks, laughed too loud, and skipped me entirely. Ryan noticed, hesitated, and mouthed, "I'll handle it." There it was, the line, "We'll handle it." I'd heard it when the florist's invoice doubled, when the bar upgrade appeared out of nowhere, when I asked about final payments and Chelsea said, "Don't worry, Ethan, we've got it." They didn't. The band played Sinatra covers. The planner weaved through the crowd with that forced smile people use when they're losing control. I watched her from the corner of my eye. She whispered to the caterer, to the lighting crew, then to the bartender. Each time, the same face. Tight. Lips, shallow nods. Money problems. You can spot them a mile away. When the main course hit the tables, mine got theirs 10 minutes late. Cold chicken. I didn't mind. I was busy thinking. Numbers, names, invoices, all stored in a folder on my phone and a binder in my car. Every vendor contract had been signed through my business account, McAllister Fleet Services LLC. Every payment routed through my system. Every clause written clean. I'd written those clauses myself. Halfway through dinner, Bree the planner came by. "Mr. McAllister, thank you again for helping Ryan and Chelsea make their day possible." "You're welcome," I said. "Everything going smoothly?" "Perfectly," she lied. "We just had a small issue with the dessert vendor, but we'll handle it." "Of course you will," I said, smiling. She moved on quickly, probably sensing something in my tone. I watched her tap her headset twice, whisper into the mic. A caterer shook his head. The DJ shrugged. The bartender looked frustrated. I didn't need to hear what they were saying. I already knew. By the time the cake cutting started, the staff's energy had shifted. Smiles were gone. They were just getting through it. The bar slowed, service thinned, and whispers spread near the back. Guests noticed. Ryan didn't. Chelsea definitely didn't. When the best man toasted the couple, he joked about the generous cousin who made all this possible. People laughed, clapped, turned to look at me. I raised my glass but didn't drink. Ryan smiled weakly, mouthed, "Thank you." Chelsea didn't look my way. That was fine. I wasn't there for applause. I was there to make sure the people who worked tonight got paid because I had a feeling the couple wouldn't. After the toast, I stepped outside for air. The night was cool. The sound of music muffled through the walls. A delivery truck idled near the back exit, a bakery logo on the side. The driver leaned against the door, smoking. "Everything squared away?" I asked. He laughed once, bitter. "Not yet. Planner said checks are coming Monday." "They won't," I said. He raised a brow. "You sure?" I nodded. "I'm the one who actually paid the deposits." He blew out smoke, slow. Guess you know how this goes, huh? Yeah, I said, and tonight I'll handle it. He didn't ask what I meant. He didn't need to. When I walked back inside, the band was finishing another song, and the guests were too busy clinking glasses to notice the planner pacing near the doors with her phone pressed tight to her ear. Ryan laughed nervously as Chelsea corrected his hand placement for photos. The photographer clicked away, none the wiser. People like to say weddings show who you really are. Maybe they're right, because in that moment, surrounded by flowers I'd paid for and smiles that cost nothing, I knew exactly who everyone was and what I was about to do. Tonight, I wasn't the guest. By the kitchen doors, I was the man holding every receipt that made this party possible. And when the lights dimmed for the first dance, I smiled, finished my cold chicken, and opened my phone. It was time to make a few quiet adjustments before dessert. The story really started 6 months earlier, long before the champagne and white linens. Ryan called me one night after work, voice full of that forced optimism people use when they're about to ask for money. He'd been my cousin, my little brother in all but name. I'd helped him get his first real job, co-signed his first lease, even loaned him my old pickup when his car gave out. So when he said, "Ethan, can I run something by you?" I already knew it involved a check. He told me he and Chelsea had found their dream venue, a winery just outside Charleston. "It's classy, but not overpriced," he said, though I could hear the hesitation. "We just need some help with deposits. We'll handle the rest." That phrase again, "we'll handle it." I should have caught it then. But family ties make you hear promises differently. You fill in good intentions where warning signs should go. "How much?" I asked. "Just the basics," he said. "Venue, planner, maybe catering." "Define basics." He hesitated. "Around 30,000? Yeah, but that's everything up front. We'll pay you back after the wedding gifts roll in. We've got a registry." I could have laughed, but he was too earnest. Ryan wasn't a bad guy, just someone who thought future money counted as real money. I'd been there once, back when I started my fleet business. I'd learned the hard way that promises don't pay invoices. "All right," I said finally, "but if I do this, it's through my company. Every contract runs under my LLC. I don't hand out cash. I pay vendors directly." He paused, probably realizing this wasn't just charity. "That's fine," he said. "Chelsea will probably want to handle most of the planning, though." "She can handle the design," I said. "I'll handle the money." He agreed. For a while that setup worked. I paid each deposit clean: venue, florist, caterer, planner, and every payment came with my name on the invoice. No middlemen, no mystery fees. I told each vendor the same thing: "You report to me until the final payment clears." They nodded. Professionals respect clarity. Then Chelsea entered the picture full time. She started forwarding new quotes, bigger ones, with polite notes like, "Ryan said this should be fine," or "We'll just adjust later." Every adjustment added zeros. When I reminded her about budgets, she laughed through the phone. "Ethan, it's a wedding, not a warehouse order." She wasn't wrong, but she didn't understand. Business and weddings both collapse when people ignore numbers. Still, I didn't push. I told myself Ryan would learn, and I'd stay in the background. I didn't care about the flowers or the venue's imported candles. I just wanted things to go smoothly so he wouldn't start his marriage in debt. Then came the planner, Bree Dalton, the kind of woman who could smile and send an invoice at the same time. She ran everything through house rules. That meant markups disguised as convenience fees, vendor handling costs, and mandatory gratuities she never actually passed on. I'd seen her type in contracts before, the ones who count on clients being too emotional to read fine print. During one meeting, she said, "Mr. McAllister, if you'd prefer, we can transfer vendor coordination to Chelsea. You don't have to stay involved." I smiled. "Bree, if I'm paying for the orchestra, I'm staying through the encore." She gave a polite laugh, the kind you give when you think you'll win later anyway. From there, things blurred. Chelsea posted endless updates on social media: dress fittings, floral trials, engagement brunches. Every post tagged sponsors, but none mentioned who funded it all. My name stayed off every caption. I didn't care about credit. I cared about accountability. Then came the rehearsal dinner. I watched the bar tab rise like a tide. Bree whispered to the waiter, who nodded and added another bottle to the tab. Ryan thanked me again, cheeks red from champagne. Chelsea clinked her glass and said, "Ethan's just family. He loves helping." That line stuck with me. He loves helping. like generosity was a personality flaw. When the final payment emails arrived, I noticed duplicates. 2 invoices from the same florist, both with rush fee listed, one for twice the cost. I called the florist directly. "We only sent one," she said. "Planner said the rest was her coordination fee." That's when I knew. I printed every contract that night and filed them neatly in my office drawer. I made a list of everyone owed: caterers, bartenders, band, lighting crew. I checked every clause. My contracts, not theirs. Deposits non-refundable. Final payments contingent on satisfactory service completion and respective personnel. My clause. My safety net. When I saw Ryan the next day, I asked, "You sure you and Chelsea want to handle the rest?" He looked confused. "Yeah, man, why?" "Just making sure," I said, "because if they wanted to handle it, they would. If not, I would, just differently." Over the next few weeks, Chelsea's tone changed, polite to dismissive. "Ethan, don't stress. Bree's got it all handled." She said it like I was an overbearing accountant. I let her believe that. It's easy to dismiss quiet people until they hold the paperwork. By the time the wedding week came, every vendor had emailed me separately, just confirming we'll see final payment from you. I told them the truth. Wait for my call after the event. They agreed, polite, professional, and grateful for clarity. That night, as I loaded the Maichi binder into my car, I felt oddly calm. The numbers lined up. The clauses were airtight. Every receipt, every message, all filed, time-stamped, verifiable. People think revenge needs fire. It doesn't. It needs structure. At that moment, I didn't plan to embarrass anyone. I just planned to make sure everyone got what they earned, except the people who thought "we'll handle it" meant "you'll pay for it." When the wedding music started the next evening, I wasn't worried about drama. I'd already written the ending. I kept the binder simple. Black cover, tabbed sections, nothing flashy. Each vendor had a tab, and each tab had a contract, emails, and payment logs. I labeled every page with my company name. McAllister Fleet Services LLC sat at the top of each agreement. That mattered later more than anything else. Control follows whoever signs the checks. I had signed every deposit, and I kept receipts as carefully as spare parts. People roll their eyes at paper until paper speaks. The florist's contract came first. It was clean, direct, and honest about deadlines. I added one addendum on delivery standards and respect towards staff. If any worker was harassed or stiffed, final payment paused until corrected. It wasn't a threat, it was rule of the road stuff. You don't pass a truck on a blind curve. You don't cheat people who do the real work. The florist appreciated the clarity and noted it in her file. Later, she told me she wished more clients wrote it that way. The caterer's file was heavier. Food always makes budgets wobble. Their fee had a base rate, then head count, then a service line. Bree tried to bury a coordination surcharge under staff meals. I crossed it out in ink and attached a note. "Coordination is the planner's job," I wrote, "not the kitchen's." The chef emailed thanks later and sent a revised invoice. He added one handwritten line about his crew. "They earn their tips," he wrote. "I make sure of it." I underlined that sentence. I planned to make sure of it too. I drafted a simple anti-kickback clause for third parties. It said anyone taking money outside stated fees must disclose it. If they hid it, the fee converted to 0. That language closed doors Bree liked to walk through. She called me very thorough, with a voice that tried to sound sweet. I didn't argue. Thorough saved my shop when diesel spiked last summer. Thorough saves you when people confuse a party with a free pass. The band's contract came with the usual riders: break schedule, song list, and late-night overtime. I added a clear payment trigger tied to set completion. If the set got cut by a coordinator for timeline changes, they still got paid. I'd seen planners stunt on bands for Instagram moments. A good band carries the room when speeches wobble. They deserved protection the same way drivers do in a storm. The band leader circled the clause and wrote, "Respect." That word kept showing up in ink. The bar file made me pause. Bree had set up a premium package with a mysterious venue pour fee. No one could explain it without using more vague words. I replaced it with a straight per-drink rate and a floor for gratuities. Tips are not charity. Tips are wages in our system. I told the bar manager I would settle tips separately if anything smelled off. He nodded once, like a man who had stood in too many back hallways. He gave me a private cell number and wrote, "Call if anyone plays games." My clause about respect fit on one page. It was simple. Pay depends on conduct. If a guest or coordinator disrespects staff, the client can pause payment. Pause forces conversations that apologies never do. I included a line promising I would show up in person if needed. People behave better when the bill holder stands close. It keeps voices level and hands steady. It also keeps the night from sliding into chaos disguised as style. Bree sent me a revised master invoice with soft language and hard numbers. She tried hiding a success fee for managing upgrades. I highlighted it and wrote one sentence. Success is the work, not the fee. I attached our original contract, which set her rate as fixed. She replied with a smiling emoji and no argument. Polite silence from a planner always means the math didn't go her way. I saved the thread and moved on. Chelsea asked for a videographer 3 weeks out. Last minute anything costs extra. The quote had a rush capture line that doubled normal rates. I agreed on one condition. Ownership of raw footage would sit with my LLC until final payments cleared. That is standard in commercial shoots. She didn't like it, but she liked the camera more. The videographer thanked me for clean language and sent over his insurance certificate. He told me he'd been stiffed twice this year. I promised he wouldn't be tonight. I set up 2 credit authorizations at my bank. One handle for real charges and one hold for disputes. A hold is like a parking brake for money. It stops motion while you check the slope. I linked both to text alerts with vendor names. If someone tried to slip a new processor through the system, my phone would buzz. I wasn't going to play whack-a-mole with phantom fees at midnight. I wanted clean proofs and clean payments. The night before the wedding, I called each lead vendor for 5 minutes. I didn't ask for gossip. I asked for facts. Are you staffed? Are you on time? Anything weird from the planner? Most said they were ready and thanked me for checking. 2 warned me Bree had floated Monday checks after the last walkthrough. I told them I would settle in person if anything changed. They relaxed. Professionals don't need speeches. They need a promise that holds. Ryan texted me a selfie from the rehearsal dinner. He looked happy and a little lost. "We got this," he wrote, followed by a beer emoji. I stared at the screen, then typed one line. "You enjoy your night." He didn't need the rest. The rest was hidden in tabs, initials, and timestamps. The rest was a map for when people tried to take exits they hadn't paid for. The binder went into my trunk with a roll of envelopes and a small calculator. I don't use it much, but numbers look different when keys click. I added a stack of thank you cards with my business card inside. If I handled the bill, I wanted the story straight. "Paid in full," I planned to write, with a number and a date. Small, neat, undeniable. People respect neat writing almost as much as money itself. When I walked into the ballroom the next evening, I knew exactly where the cracks would show. You can hear pressure if you listen near the service hallway. Staff voices go flat when money drifts. Headsets buzz longer between replies. Hands rush tasks that should be slow. I felt the room shift before dessert, and I felt something else too. Calm. Revenge wasn't the goal. The goal was a ledger that lined up with reality. If they kept their word, I would keep my wallet open. If they didn't, I would close it with the quiet finality of a stamped receipt. So when Bree said again, "We'll handle it," I already knew how the night would end. Not with a fight in front of guests, but with envelopes delivered under clean light. Not with speeches, but with signatures. I wasn't there to embarrass anyone. I was there to balance the book they kept pretending didn't exist. And balance, like respect, is a number you can point to. The reception hall shimmered like a postcard. Chandeliers, crystal stemware, gold-trimmed chairs. I could appreciate the presentation even if I didn't belong to it. From my seat near the service door, I had a clear view of everything the guests weren't supposed to notice. Staff hustling through narrow lanes, the planner whispering into her mic, the band leader watching the clock. It was a good angle for seeing truth. When you sit by the kitchen, you hear how things really run. The servers didn't gossip about romance or gowns. They whispered about payment delays. "Planner says checks come Monday," one murmured. "We don't play that game again." Another nodded grimly. I kept my eyes on my plate and my ears open. Words like Monday never mean today. Ryan moved through the tables, shaking hands and smiling like a man trying to look successful. I could tell his new in-laws liked that performance. He caught my eye once across the room and gave me a small, uncertain wave. I lifted my glass. He looked relieved, like he'd just checked off an obligation. Chelsea never looked my way. When the toast began, the spotlight landed on her first. She took the mic like she'd rehearsed for television. "This day wouldn't have been possible without our amazing planner and our wonderful families," she said, pausing just long enough for applause. My name never came up. That part didn't bother me. What did bother me was how her tone changed when she thanked her generous supporters. It wasn't gratitude, it was ownership, like she'd sponsored me. The best man, Noah, followed with humor and warmth. His speech balanced the room again. He raised his glass toward me and said, "To Ethan, who made sure everything actually happened on time." Guests clapped politely. Chelsea smiled for the cameras, then turned her head before our eyes met. I didn't care about acknowledgement. I cared about accountability, the kind that wasn't photogenic. The rest of the night blurred into background noise, music, laughter, the dull rhythm of forks against china. I watched Bree glide between tables, headset flashing green. Her movements looked controlled, but her face didn't. Her smile tightened every time she checked her phone. The timing of service had slipped, and she knew it. One delay leads to another. That's Logistics 101. She eventually approached my table, all professional grace. "Everything okay over here, Mr. McAllister?" "Depends who you ask," I said. She blinked, sensing the edge in my tone. "We're just smoothing out some timing issues. You know how it is." "I do," I said. "That's why I plan for them." She tried to pivot. "You've been so generous to Ryan and Chelsea. They really appreciate it." "I'm sure they do," I said, steady. "Remind me, all vendor balances clear tonight?" Her expression flickered. "Of course," she said too quickly. "All handled." "Good," I said, "because I like when things are handled properly." She smiled again, but the warmth was gone. "Enjoy the rest of the evening," she said, walking away. I finished my drink slowly. The band switched to upbeat classics. Couples filled the dance floor. The air smelled of wine and perfume layered over stress. A staffer brushed past me, muttering, "Bartender says card declined." Another server replied, "Planner said use the backup." There is no backup. I excused myself and followed the sound of frustration. The bar was half hidden behind floral walls. Two bartenders worked double pace, pouring for people waving cash. Bree stood nearby with her phone to her ear, whispering fast. The head bartender caught my eye. Recognition flashed. "Sir," he said quietly, "you're the one on the paperwork, right?" "Depends which paperwork," I said. "The main payment authorization," he said. "McAllister Fleet Services?" "That's me," he nodded. "Then you should know." The secondary card bounced. "How much exposure?" I asked. "Couple thousand so far," he said. "Planner said she'd fix it." Then she walked away. I nodded. "Keep pouring. You'll be paid before you leave." He exhaled, relief visible in his shoulders. "Appreciate that, sir." "Just do your job," I said. "You'll have your envelope soon." When I turned, Bree stood behind me again, smile back on. "Mr. McAllister, everything fine?" "Perfect," I said. "Keep it that way." She didn't respond. She just straightened her blazer and retreated toward the kitchen. I went back to my seat, calmer than before. The pieces were sliding into place. They thought I was just the quiet cousin by the service door. What they didn't realize was that the kitchen view is where control lives. From there, I could see the heartbeat of the whole operation. When it skipped, when it stuttered, and when it lied. Chelsea's laughter rang across the hall as she posed for a magazine photographer. Ryan looked uneasy again, maybe noticing the tension in the staff, maybe not. He smiled for the camera anyway. People like to say weddings are about love. I've always thought they're about contracts, written, spoken, and broken. As the night wore on, I watched servers glance nervously toward the exit, waiting for release. They didn't trust promises of Monday checks, and they were right not to. The planner's tablet glowed bright under her arm, the kind of brightness that hides unpaid numbers. I checked my watch. Dessert was next. The perfect time to pivot. The moment sugar hits the tables, guests relax. No one notices a man stand and walk toward the service door. No one asks why he's carrying a folder under his arm. I stood, buttoned my jacket, and caught the bartender's eye. He nodded once, a quiet signal that the timing was right. From my seat near the kitchen doors, I'd seen enough. Enough vanity, enough lies, enough people confusing image for integrity. I'd paid for the day, but tonight I would own its ending. As the band started its next song, I stepped out of the ballroom's glow and into the hallway where the real work happened. The hum of dishwashers, the smell of coffee brewing, the tired relief of staff waiting to clock out. That was where honesty lived, not under chandeliers, but under fluorescent light. Time to balance the ledger. I found Bree in the prep hall, cornered between a metal rack of trays and a server demanding signatures. Her perfect planner posture had melted into tension. The headset dangled around her neck, and her tablet screen showed what she didn't want anyone else to see: payment rejections, pending authorizations, and numbers flashing red. She looked like someone trying to juggle glass with oil on her hands. She noticed me before she heard me. "Oh, Mr. McAllister," she said, forcing a smile. "We're just finishing up minor payment confirmations." "Minor?" I asked. "Because the bar thinks they're closing early." Her jaw tightened. "Just a system delay. Happens all the time. We'll handle it." There it was again. That phrase. Every time people lose control, they use those same 3 words. I opened my folder and flipped to the section marked planner fees. "You padded the catering invoice by 8%, I said. "That wasn't in your fixed contract." She blinked. "That's a standard coordination charge." "No," I said calmly. "Your contract calls it included service oversight. That means it's already baked in. You can't bake twice." "Look," she said, her tone tightening, "these events are fluid. Sometimes fees adjust. You of all people should know that." "I do," I said. "That's why I build adjustment clauses that require written approval." She looked like she wanted to argue but couldn't find footing. I let the silence stretch. People fill silence with truth if you give them long enough. Finally, she exhaled. "Fine. It's just a markup. Everyone does it." "Not when someone reads the fine print," I said. Behind her, 2 staff members waited, holding clipboards. She turned to sign something, but I stopped her. "Don't sign anything yet," I said to the crew. "You'll get your payments directly." Her head snapped around. "Excuse me?" "I'm settling the accounts," I said. "Right now." "You can't just—" "I can," I said, handing her a copy of the agreement. "You're under my company's authorization until balance is clear. Clause 4A, you accepted it when you took the deposit." She scanned the page. The line was right there in plain black text. All vendor and subcontractor payments must be approved by McAllister Fleet Services LLC until services are complete and verified. She swallowed. "This is highly irregular." "No," I said. "This is accountability. You just haven't met it before." I motioned for the head caterer, a broad man in rolled-up sleeves. "You got your totals?" "Yep," he said, reading off numbers. "Food, service, cleanup, gratuity, all in." I pulled an envelope from my folder, counted bills and a check, and handed it to him. "Sign the confirmation page and initial the gratuity line," I said. He did. "Appreciate it, sir," he said quietly. We were about to walk. Bree stepped forward, whisper sharp. "You're undermining my team." "No," I said. "I'm paying your team what they earned. That's what handling it looks like." Her cheeks reddened. "You can't do this behind Chelsea and Ryan's backs." "Chelsea and Ryan are enjoying dessert," I said. "This is business, not dessert." She stared at me, trying to calculate whether she still had leverage. She didn't. I turned to the bartender. "Total outstanding?" $17.50, including tips, he said. I handed him an envelope. "Count it, then lock the bar after the last call. Don't charge another dime to anyone." He grinned slightly. "Understood." The staff around us moved differently after that. Shoulders straightened, voices lightened. It's amazing what happens when people know they'll be paid. Bree looked around, realizing the power shift had already happened. I kept going down the list. Band, florist, videographer. Each one initialed their line and walked out calmer. Each one thanked me, quietly. None of them thanked her. She finally spoke again, voice low. "Do you have any idea how this makes me look?" "Yes," I said. "It makes you look like someone who said, 'We'll handle it,' and didn't." She folded her arms. "You can't embarrass me like this." "I'm not," I said. "Embarrassment is public. This is private correction." I slipped the last signed sheet into my folder and sealed it. "You'll get your final coordination fee in 72 hours, minus the markup and undisclosed commissions. You can dispute it if you want. Just remember who wrote the contracts." She stared at me, speechless. I nodded toward the ballroom. "You might want to rejoin the party. The photographer's looking for you." She hesitated, then stormed off, her headset cord swinging like a tail. When I stepped back into the main hall, the band had started its final set. Ryan and Chelsea were laughing with guests, none the wiser. I liked it that way. They could have their night. I just wanted it paid for, honestly. Noah caught me near the bar. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Everything's balanced," I said. He smirked. "That your version of fine?" "Yeah," I said. "Fine enough." He raised his glass. You know, she's been telling everyone you're too controlling. She's not wrong, I said. Control's cheaper than chaos. He laughed. Remind me never to cross you. You wouldn't need a reminder, I said. The final song started. Couples drifted to the dance floor, wine spilling into laughter. I leaned against the wall, watching staff move freely now. No tension, no hesitation. The system worked because the people behind it were seen. I checked my watch. Midnight. The lights dimmed to soft amber. Guests began to leave. Chelsea waved absently as she passed, still smiling for a photographer who'd switched to candid mode. Thank you for everything, Ethan, Ryan said, clapping my shoulder. You're the best. Don't mention it, I said. It's handled. And for the first time all night, that line meant what it was supposed to. The night before the wedding, I cleared my kitchen table and laid out the binder. I wasn't nervous. I was aligning pieces. 2 envelopes, 1 pen, a small calculator, and a printed 1-page summary I called the run sheet. If the night went sideways, this sheet would keep my head straight. I called the bank first. I need 2 authorizations active, I said. 1 for actual charges, 1 as a hold while I verify. The rep understood. Think of a hold like a parking brake, she said. Money stays put until you release it, I said. Exactly. She set text alerts for vendor names only. No generic pending notices. If Bree tried to route payment through a mystery processor, my phone would light up by name. Clean signals beat noise every time. Next, I phoned each lead vendor. 5 minutes each, no small talk. Chef, you staffed for 160? He said, head count's 158, plus 2 vegetarian plates. Copy. Band leader, load in still 330? On time. Weather's good. Bar manager, confirm per drink rate and gratuity floor? Confirmed. If a different card shows up, I'll call you, not the planner. Good, I said. Same rule for everyone. Call me first. Every call ended with the same line. I'll settle in person. You could hear shoulders drop through the phone. Ryan texted while I checked batteries in a pocket light. Big day tomorrow. Chelsea says Bree has it all handled. I typed back, enjoy your day. See you there. He didn't need my lecture tonight. Tomorrow would teach what words couldn't. By 10, I drove to the venue for a quick walkthrough. Staff were folding napkins and rolling glass racks. The night manager recognized me from invoices. We're square on load times, he said. Planners hinting about Monday checks. I smiled. Not happening. If anything changes, you see me first. He nodded and handed me a temporary badge. Back hall is left of the kitchen, he said. Fluorescents are brutal. Good, I said. Brutal lights keep people honest. On my way out, I ran into Bree beside a stack of votives. Her headset rested like a crown. You didn't need to come by, she said. We're on schedule. I kept my voice even. I like seeing the field before the game. She laughed lightly. Try to relax tomorrow. It's a celebration. It's a contract, I said. She paused, smile thinning. Same difference if I'm running it. We'll see, I said, and left it there. Morning of, I kept my routine simple. Coffee, light breakfast, short run. Structure fights nerves better than speeches. By noon, I ironed my shirt and slipped the run sheet into my jacket. The binder went in the trunk, envelopes under the front seat. I don't bring money into the ballroom until it's needed. It keeps conversations clean. At check-in, Bree's assistant handed me a program and forced a smile. You're at table 9, she said. We tried to keep VIPs near the head table. Then something went wrong, I said. She blinked. I smiled. Don't worry. I know how to find the kitchen. She didn't laugh. The first authorizations pinged during cocktail hour. My phone buzzed. Caterer pre-auth. Match. Bar secondary. Declined. I watched the bar manager glance toward the hall. He didn't panic. He had my number. I sent him a thumbs up and typed, I'll settle later. Keep pouring. He replied with a single check mark. Chelsea floated through crowd shots like a brand campaign. Ryan followed a step behind, looking both proud and tired. He caught my eye and mouthed, Thank you. I nodded. You don't embarrass a man on his wedding day. You just build a path where he can walk out with dignity later. Near dinner, Bree intercepted me. Quick update, she said. Band wants overtime approved. Approved if the set runs full, I said. No penalties for your timeline changes. She frowned. You memorized the contracts? I wrote the addendums, I said. That's faster. She tried to pivot. About the florist. She needed a rush fee. Not on my copy, I said, and not tonight. She pressed her lips together, then slipped away, headset glowing. I checked the run sheet while the salads landed. Line 1, caterer, settle post-dessert. Line 2, bar, settle when floor clears. Line 3, band, confirm overtime before final set. The rest of the page listed names, amounts, and initials. Nothing fancy. Panic hates simple lists. At the kitchen door, I found the chef counting chafers. Food okay out there? He asked. Good, I said. Kitchen running tight? He rubbed his neck. They told my crew gratuities Monday. Disregard that, I said. Gratuities tonight, in cash. He breathed out. Bless you, he said. My people need gas money home. Mine too, I said. Different trucks. I ran into Noah near the restrooms. He leaned against the wall, tie loosened. You look like a guy with a plan, he said. Plans keep the peace, I said. Think it'll get loud? He asked. Not if I can help it, I said. Loud means someone wants a scene. He nodded. Chelsea's good at scenes. Then we'll choose better lighting, I said. When the first dance started, I slid to the service hall and called the bank. Release caterer, hold to payable, I said. Bar remains hold until I hand them envelope. The rep confirmed. You want alerts paused for 1 hour? No, I said. Keep them live. I don't turn off alarms just because music's playing. Dessert plates rolled out like small moons. That was my cue. I grabbed my jacket, stepped outside, and opened the trunk. The night air felt steady. I filled the envelopes with exact amounts, adding tipped cash for the floor crew. I wrote each name on the flap. Names matter. People remember when you look them in the eye and say them right. Back inside, I moved room to room like I had a delivery route. Kitchen first. For the crew, I said, handing the chef the bundle. Distribute evenly, no skim. He nodded, hand on heart. Band next. If Bree cuts your set for speeches, you still get paid, I said. The band leader smiled. We'll play what's left. The florist's assistant took her envelope with both hands, eyes wet. They told us to invoice Monday, she said. They tell everyone that, I said. Not tonight. Bree caught me as I exited the bar. What are you doing? She whispered. Finishing what I started 6 months ago, I said. It's my role. Logistics. She glanced at my envelopes. You love control. I love clean math, I said. Control is cheaper. She stepped closer. You'll make me look bad. No, I said. You did that when you promised Monday money to people who work Saturdays. Near midnight, the final alert buzzed. Band oat. Approved. I texted the leader. Green light. Enjoy the last set. He sent back a photo of the dance floor, crowded and real. For the first time all night, I let myself enjoy the noise. When the lights lifted and chairs scraped, I stood by the service door and watched crews stack linens with easier hands. People smiled because their night ended clean. That's all most workers ask for. No surprises, no tomorrow, just done. I stepped outside, pocket lighter by an empty loading bay. Ryan found me there, breath fogging. You disappeared, he said. Had a couple things to finish, I said. Everything okay? He asked. Handled, I said. He studied my face. You always look calm after a storm. I planned before it, I said. He nodded slowly. I think I owe you more than thanks. You owe your crew respect, I said. Start there. I didn't need applause. I needed the ledger to match the night. By the time I drove home, the holds were either released or closed, and the binder had fresh signatures tucked inside. Clean paper, clean sleep. Tomorrow would bring questions and spin. That was fine. I had answers and numbers. Numbers age better than stories. By dessert, the room softened. Candles lowered the edges on people's faces. The band slid into something slow and safe, buying time while plates landed. I stood from table 9, buttoned my jacket, and walked toward the service door. Bree watched me pass like I had no reason to leave my chair. I did not look back. The hallway hummed with plates, steam, and tired feet. This was the moment I'd planned around for months. Guests focused on suites, workers focused on clock out. Money decisions decide both. I met the bar manager first. He wiped the counter with sober precision. Your message still good? He asked quietly. Good, I said. All drinks through the original rate only. He nodded toward the second terminal. Planner tried to push a premium tab again. I leaned in and kept my tone even. Unplug the premium unit. Run cash or comp within the agreed floor. He glanced at his team and pulled the cord without ceremony. The screen went black. Any blowback? He asked. Send them to me, I said. Stand tall and pour. Next was the chef, posted like a captain at the pass. He had 2 line cooks packing staff meals for the ride home. We square? He asked, eyes sharp but hopeful. We are. I said, handing him the signed receipt. Gratuities inside. He didn't open the envelope. He pressed it flat and nodded once. Crew will appreciate it, he said. They earned it, I replied. Bree's assistant rounded the corner with a clipboard and a too bright smile. Chef, can you sign for Monday accounts? She asked. He looked at me. I shook my head. Not necessary, I said. Tonight's settled, no Monday. She faltered, then vanished back into the dim hall. Bree intercepted me near the walk-in, headset blinking like a warning light. Ethan, she said, voice sugar over steel. We've got a few last-minute upgrades to capture. I kept my answer plain. Not approved. She tried again. Couple photo backdrops and a neon sign rental. Easy ads. Not tonight, I said. Vendor was never briefed, and we don't pay for lights guests won't remember. She stepped closer until only the scent of hairspray separated us. You're creating friction, she whispered. I'm removing slippage, I answered. Different math. Her tablet pinged. She glanced down and lost color. Another decline charge flashed red. She realized I already controlled the slope. I found the band leader behind the drape tuning a guitar. Final set runs 45, he said, checking his watch. Extend 10 if the floor's full. Extend 10 if the floor earns it, I said. No penalties for speeches. He laughed softly. You really read the rider. I wrote the protection, I said. Play the room, not the planner. He nodded and patted the guitar. We'll land them well, then. I handed him the envelope. He weighed it, then tucked it under the amp. We don't always get treated like professionals, he said. Treat yourselves that way anyway, I replied. The right people notice. Back in the ballroom, the magazine photographer blocked the aisle for a staged champagne shot. Chelsea practiced a laugh that never reached her eyes. Ryan tried to time his smile to her cue. Bree signaled the DJ to hold. I stepped to the edge and waited for the frame to reset. Ryan saw me and drifted over, nerves tucked behind gratitude. Everything cool? He asked quietly. Better than cool, I said. It's clean. He nodded like a man who didn't understand the word but loved how it sounded. Thank you, he said. You gave us the night. The staff gave you the night, I said. I just made sure they got theirs. The pivot finished at the florist's van. The assistant counted broken stems like they were deductions on a return. Planner wants us to invoice for Monday touch-ups, she said, tired but polite. You're good tonight, I said, handing over her envelope. No Monday. Rest your hands. She blinked at the name written on the flap. You spelled it right, she said softly. Names matter, I replied. She tucked the envelope under her coat like a borrowed book. It'll get home safe, she said. So will you, I answered. She smiled for the first time all day. Bree made one last pass, mouth tight, eyes scanning for leverage. Chelsea wants the bar open late for her after-party, she said. Add it to the master. Cash only after midnight, I said. No exceptions, she scoffed. That's tacky. It's honest, I said. Tacky is promising Monday money to Saturday workers. She swallowed hard and straightened her blazer. You have no idea how this industry works. I do, I said. It runs on people who can't afford to wait. For once, she had no line ready. She stepped back like she'd touched a hot pan. The headset slipped on her shoulder and stayed there. The last set hit right. The floor bloomed with movement that looked like relief. Even the servers cracked small smiles between trays. I stood by the kitchen door, where the air felt warmer and truer. The bar lights dimmed to signal last call. The DJ thanked the vendors into the mic, then cut the feed. Small applause rolled across the staff lane. Not for show, for done. Noah found me as chairs scraped and centerpieces leaned. You flipped the switch, didn't you? He said. I moved the breaker to the right panel, I answered. He grinned. Chelsea thinks she ran a perfect night. Let her, I said. Perfection costs what it costs. Outside, the loading bay wind felt like a reset. Trucks idled, laughter dulled. The chef tapped his envelope, then lifted 2 fingers in thanks. The bar manager locked his till and gave a salute. The band leader rolled a speaker and mouthed, "Paid." I nodded and slid the binder into my bag. My phone buzzed once. The final hold converted to payable. Clean numbers, clean night. I took one breath and let the quiet hit full. Revenge hadn't visited this place. Balance had. Balance leaves footprints you can audit. Ryan stepped into the bay, tie loose, grin honest for once. There you are, he said. Chelsea's looking for a nightcap photo. Tell her to take it with the people who stayed to stack chairs, I said. He chuckled, then sobered. I'm going to make things right with you, he said. Tomorrow. Tomorrow is spreadsheets, I said. Tonight is sleep. He nodded, understanding more than he did a week ago. You handled the bill, he said. I handled the truth, I replied. Bill's just told it first. The morning after the wedding, my phone started buzzing before sunrise. Missed calls stacked like dominoes, unknown numbers, a couple from vendors, one from Ryan. I let them all roll to voicemail. You can tell who's in real trouble by how early they start calling. By 7, I sat at my kitchen table with coffee and the binder open. Every tab was signed, every total checked, every deposit matched to a final payout. The numbers balanced exactly, no mystery charges, no pending lines. Clean math, the kind that ends arguments before they start. The first text came from Bree. We have a serious issue. Several vendors say you bypassed us and paid them directly. That's highly unprofessional. I typed back one line. It's highly professional to close balances on time. Then I turned my phone face down and finished my coffee. An hour later, Ryan showed up at my door, still in yesterday's clothes. Tie gone, shirt wrinkled. He looked like someone who hadn't slept. You could have warned me, he said as soon as I opened the door. Warned you about what? That you were going to take over the payments. Bree called in tears. Chelsea's furious. Good, I said. Means it worked. He frowned. Worked? She says you embarrassed her in front of the staff. I didn't embarrass her. I prevented a meltdown. The bar was about to shut down because her planner's card bounced. That's not what she said. It never is. He rubbed his face. You can't just step in like that. I can when my name's on every contract, I said. You think vendors wait politely while people pose for photos? He slumped into a chair. You made me look like I couldn't control my own wedding. You couldn't, I said plainly. That's why I handled the bill. He didn't argue. He just stared at the binder on the table, eyes tracing the tabs. She said you canceled the open bar after midnight. I didn't cancel it. I made it cash only. Your guests could still drink. They just had to pay for it themselves. Chelsea says that was tacky. Then maybe she'll remember that Tacky paid the bill. Silence stretched. Outside, a delivery truck hissed to a stop. He followed the sound like it offered a way out. You always have to win, don't you? This isn't winning, I said. This is cleaning up. He let out a long breath. You think I don't appreciate what you did? I think appreciation doesn't pay invoices, I said. Accountability does. He looked up. She wants an apology. Then she can add it to her registry, I said. That broke him for a second. He laughed, then shook his head. You never change. That's the point, I said. Stability's not a flaw. He stood, hands on the back of the chair. She's not going to let this go, you know. Then she'll learn how contracts work. Before he left, I handed him a folder with copies of every cleared payment. Show her this, I said. Tell her everyone got paid and no one's suing her for breach. That's what handling it looks like. He hesitated at the door. You really don't care what she thinks? I care what numbers say, I said. They speak clearer than she ever will. After he left, I sat there a while, listening to the quiet. It's strange how silence feels different when you've closed every loop. Not empty, complete. By noon, the vendors started texting thanks. Appreciate the direct payment. Crew got home on time. Never seen a smoother wrap-up. Small words, big impact. I archived each message. Records matter. Gratitude doesn't need to echo, it just needs to exist somewhere real. Then the planner posted. I saw it because Noah sent a screenshot. Some people think money buys manners. It doesn't. The comments filled with sympathy emojis and industry friends who'd been at the wedding. They didn't know the half of it. I didn't reply. I didn't have to. Silence draws a cleaner line than argument ever could. That night, Ryan called again. His tone had changed. Calmer, lower. She's still mad, he said, but the vendors posted about getting paid on time. Everyone's saying the planner dropped the ball. Good, I said. Let the truth handle its own marketing. He sighed. I'm sorry for how it played out. I really thought she had it covered. You believed a promise because it was easier than checking the math, I said. That's not love, that's convenience. He didn't argue this time. Chelsea wants to meet, he said quietly. She can send a calendar invite, I said. Business hours only. He chuckled. You're unbelievable. No, I said. I'm documented. 2 days later, the magazine that covered the wedding reached out. They'd heard from vendors about payment confusion and wanted clarification. I sent a brief reply. All vendors were paid in full on-site by the contracting entity, McAllister Fleet Services LLC. No confusion. No adjectives, no opinion, just facts. When the article dropped a week later, it skipped the planner entirely. The credit line read, Event Coordination, Independent Vendor Team, managed by McAllister Fleet Services LLC. A single sentence buried at the bottom, but enough. People notice footnotes more than headlines when they're looking for the truth. That same day, Bree's company's reviews started to turn. Promised payment Monday, never came, one vendor wrote. Wouldn't recommend unless you like chasing invoices. The pattern spoke louder than any complaint I could make. Chelsea called me once more after that. I let it go to voicemail. She said, You made us look small. I deleted it without listening twice. You can't shrink people who live by scale and structure. By the end of the week, I mailed copies of signed receipts to Ryan with a note. Ledger closed. Congratulations again. He sent back a short text. I owe you. I typed, No, you just needed the reminder. That night, I walked downtown, past couples at patios and lights flickering in bars I'd never go in. I thought about what Bree said, how I'd made her look bad. Maybe I did. But the difference between looking bad and being bad is paperwork. I had that covered. I didn't ruin a wedding. I saved it from turning into debt. I didn't chase revenge. I chased the math until it balanced. That's how you really handle it. The conference room smelled like coffee and printer toner. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, harsh but honest. I asked for this room because chandeliers lie. Bulbs like these don't. Ryan sat across from me wearing a navy jacket he hadn't pressed. Chelsea came too, jaw set, phone face up like a shield. Bree didn't get an invite. My binder lay open between us, pages squared to the table's edge. Our attorney, Miller, sat to my left with a yellow pad. Let's keep it simple, I said. Numbers first, feelings later. No one smiled, which helped the math. I slid the first sheet over to Ryan. It summarized deposits, deliverables, and final payouts. The columns were short and plain. Vendor, amount, status, proof. This is everything I paid, I said. Here are your signatures and theirs. Ryan ran a finger down the totals and nodded once. Chelsea didn't look at the numbers. She looked at me. You blindsided us, she said. You made our wedding look cheap. I kept my voice level. I made your wedding solvent. Miller tapped his pen and said, Let's stay on the spreadsheet, please. She exhaled loudly but said nothing else. Noise burns fast under fluorescent light. Repayment? Ryan asked, eyes still on the totals. 15 months, I said. Equal payments, 0 interest if on time. Miller slid a short agreement forward. Missed 2 payments and the rate converts, he said. Standard clause. Chelsea bristled. We're family, she said like that erased math. Family is why the rate starts at 0, I said. Structure is why it can change. Ryan swallowed and nodded again. I can do 15, he said. We'll cut dinners out and sell the side-by-side. That sounded like a man finally dealing with numbers, not wishes. I respected that. Next came acknowledgments. I placed 2 one-page statements in front of them. Read these out loud, I said. We'll keep it clear. Ryan took his page first. We acknowledge that all wedding vendors were paid in full on site by the contracting entity, McAllister Fleet Services LLC, he read. We further acknowledge that any public statements will reflect that fact. He looked relieved, like the words fit the room. Chelsea read hers slower. We agree to avoid statements implying late or withheld payments by vendors, she said. We agree to correct any such statements. Her eyes flashed up at me. Happy? Accurate, I said. Accuracy is the point. Miller flipped to the next tab. Planner compensation, he said. I set a single check stub on the table. Her fixed fee minus undisclosed markups and attempted commissions, I said. Here's the math. Ryan stared at the numbers and looked pained. She told us the fees were standard, he said. She told you stories, I said. Standard lives in the contract. Chelsea folded her arms. You humiliated her, she snapped. I paid her. I tapped the stub. This is not humiliation. This is a net check. Miller added, and a signed release on her letterhead. He slid a copy across. Bree's signature sat under a tidy paragraph about full and final settlement. Papers end arguments people can't. We discussed credit usage for 5 minutes, not 30. You keep your cards off vendor accounts forever, I said. No random processors, no Monday checks. Ryan agreed immediately. Chelsea frowned, then nodded once. Slow. Fine, she said. But I want a line that says we chose the decor. You did, I said. This isn't about taste, it's about tender. Miller wrote a single sentence. Design decisions by the couple, payment administration by McAllister. Simple and exact. We initialed in the margins, nothing fancy. Fancy makes holes, simple holds weight. I opened a small box and pulled out a stack of stamped receipts. Each had a vendor's name, the amount, the date, and my signature. I handed Ryan the set with a thin manila folder. These go in your files at home, I said. If anyone questions the night, you show them these. He thumbed through and stopped at the bar receipt. You tipped heavy, he said. They were carrying the room while people took pictures, I said. That deserves weight. Chelsea stared at the stack and finally softened a little. Do we owe them thank you notes? She asked. You owe them respect, I said. Thank you notes are optional. Getting paid is not. Ryan signed the repayment schedule without drama. Chelsea hovered a moment, then signed two. Miller stamped each page and slid copies around. You'll get a PDF tonight, he said. Hard copies are yours now. He started to stand, then sat back down. One last thing, he added. No posts implying financial misconduct by Ethan. Chelsea blinked hard. I didn't say his name, she said. You said enough to land there, Miller replied, calm. This protects everyone. It's mutual. He pointed to the final line. No disparagement by any party. I signed first. Ryan followed. Chelsea hesitated, then scribbled her name like she wanted to break the pen. Pens are tougher than feelings in rooms like this. When the papers settled, the room finally breathed. Ryan leaned back and rubbed his eyes. I'm sorry, he said, voice rough. I thought I could juggle everything. You don't juggle bills, I said. You stack them and pay them. He nodded. I'll make each date, he said. I'm done pretending. Chelsea looked at him, then at me. You made me feel small, she said quietly. I took a beat and kept my tone even. No, the bill did. I just read it out loud. She stared at the tabletop, then whispered, I didn't want to start with debt. Then you shouldn't, I said. This is how you don't. We stood. The fluorescent still buzzed, steady and dull. Ryan reached across the table. I shook his hand and squeezed once. Pay on time, I said. Communicate early if you can't. He nodded again. We're good? He asked, searching my face. We're documented, I said. That's better than good. Chelsea tucked the folder under her arm. What about family dinners? She asked. Bring dessert, I said, and leave the checkbook at home. Her mouth twitched. Not a smile, not a scowl. A start. Sometimes starts are small because lights are bright. As we left, the hallway felt wider than before. Ryan paused at the door. I'll text you each payment, he said. Don't text, I said. Send a monthly summary. Keep it boring. He laughed once, genuine. You and boring, he said. Boring is paid, I answered. He held the door for Chelsea, and she stepped through without another word. Miller closed his pad and nodded. Clean meeting, he said. Fluorescents help. I smiled. They always do. Outside, the day was plain and clear. No chandeliers, no speeches, just sky and street, and a man with a folder walking toward a car. I put the binder in the trunk and felt the weight shift lighter again. This is what revenge looks like when you grow up. Not flames, not noise, just fluorescent numbers that add up in the end. 3 weeks later, life had gone back to its normal rhythm. Emails, invoices, early mornings at the garage. But quiet feels different after a storm. It doesn't hum with waiting anymore, it just sits. I like that. On a Thursday afternoon, the florist stopped by the office. She brought a small bouquet of leftover stems. You probably get diesel and paperwork here, she said, setting them on my desk. Figured you could use something that smells better. I laughed. Smells like closure, I said. She smiled, nodded once, and left without asking for anything else. Some people thank you best by moving on. The next day a card came in the mail. No return address, but the handwriting was Ryan's. Inside was a check for the first payment, a note under it. Paid on time. More to come. Thank you for structure. I smiled at that word. Structure. He was learning. The week after that, I got a call from Noah. You see the new post? He asked. Chelsea's magazine shoot? No, I said. She finally tagged the vendors, he said. Real names, even the crew. No planner mention. Good, I said. Credit where it belongs. She also posted one photo of you, he added. Far back by the door. Caption says, the one who kept the night standing. That stopped me for a second. She didn't have to, I said. She did anyway, Noah said. Guess people grow when they have to sign for it. We hung up. I sat there a while, thinking about the strange way respect shows up late but still matters. A few evenings later, Ryan came by the shop with coffee. Chelsea and I talked, he said. We're good. We might actually stay that way. I hope so, I said. She wanted to thank you in person, he said. She doesn't need to, I replied. She knows, he said, smiling. That's why it works. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a framed photo. It was the staff at the end of the wedding, band, servers, bartenders, standing outside the venue under yellow light, grinning tired smiles. I was at the edge, binder in hand. Someone must have snapped it when I wasn't looking. Lena, the photographer, sent it, he said. She said it told the real story. I looked at it quietly. She's right, I said. That's the only photo that mattered. He set the frame on my desk. Chelsea picked it out, he said. Then tell her I said thanks, I said. No posts, no captions, just thanks. He nodded, finished his coffee, and left. That night, I locked up the shop early and sat on the couch with the photo. The people in it weren't glamorous. They were the ones who made the night possible, the real team. And me, standing where I belonged, not in the spotlight, but near the work. I thought back to that first call 6 months ago when Ryan said, "We'll handle it." I could have said no. I could have walked away. But sometimes people need to fail next to structure before they learn what it's worth. The vendors had their money. Ryan had his lesson. Chelsea had her photo. Bree had her silence. Everyone got what they earned, even me. The next morning, I printed a short note for the office corkboard. Integrity is quiet paperwork. My crew read it, smiled, and got back to loading vans. They didn't need an explanation. By month's end, Ryan's second check arrived early. This one came with a line at the bottom. Balance remaining, $26,000. We'll handle it. I laughed out loud. For once, that sentence didn't make me tense, because this time, it meant exactly what it should. Saturday afternoon, I drove past the venue out of habit. Another wedding was setting up. Different names, same setup, same soft lighting. I parked across the street for a minute. The staff moved in a rhythm I recognized. Rehearsed, tired, professional. I hoped whoever paid them read the contracts first. Before I pulled away, I texted Lena a photo of her framed print hanging in my office. She replied with one line, "Full circle looks good on you." "Balance looks better," I wrote back. As the sun went down, I thought about everything that started with a simple promise, about how people mistake calm for weakness or silence for permission, but silence only has meaning when it's chosen, not forced. That night, I'd chosen it, and it had spoken louder than every toast combined. You don't always get justice in loud, cinematic ways. Sometimes it's a number at 0, a ledger without red, a crew that goes home paid. Sometimes it's a photo of you at the edge of the frame, holding the binder that kept everyone else standing. That's enough. That's the kind of story that doesn't need retelling. It just needs to stay true. I turned off the lights, locked the office, and walked to my truck. The city was quiet, the kind of quiet that doesn't wait for applause. For the first time in a long time, handled meant finished. If my story hit close to home, give this video a like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more real stories like mine, because sometimes respect doesn't shout, it just pays the bill.